The type of termites that we have here in North Carolina are called Eastern Subterranean Termites. Subterranean means they live below the ground. So the termites aren't living up here in the wood. What they're actually doing, they're actually living in the soil. The workers and some of the soldiers come up here and they grab a belly full of wood, they take it back down into the ground where the colony is, and then they literally regurgitate the wood. It's called trophallaxis. They actually regurgitate the wood and feed the balance of the colony, and then once that's completed, they turn around, they come back up and grab another belly full of wood and take it back down to the ground and get the colony sustained that way. So that's what we look for. We go around the perimeter of the house and we make sure that there's no evidence of termites here. If there is, of course, then we mark it and make recommendations for that. So the termite only needs 1/64 of an inch in order to get through a crack. So where this concrete slab, when it's poured wet, it goes up against the foundation wall, there'll be just a little natural shrinkage, and all it's going to require is just that little natural shrinkage. There's no way to physically connect this all the way into the block. So the termite has a highway or an avenue that they could travel back up between the slab and the foundation to get into the house. And so that's one of the main areas that we look for really closely when we're doing an inspection, because if this termite came up, essentially he would bump his head on the bottom of this concrete. He couldn't come through the concrete, so he's going to travel all the way over to this expansion crack, and then he's going to come up into the foundation, against the foundation, and come up into the trim, get into the studs behind the sheetrock here. So that's one of the areas that we really want to closely inspect when we're doing a termite inspection or a wood destroying insect inspection for a real estate closing. Again, we've got this large screwdriver. We're not gouging. All we're doing is just gently tapping, and we're listening, and it would tell us if there was any softness there. We're putting just enough pressure not to mar or damage the wood, but in order to allow us to hear. And then if there is any hollow damaged wood as a result of any termite activity or any other wood destroying insect, then our screwdriver would give us a report, and we would be able to know that we've got an area that we need to investigate a little closer. So what I have here did not come from this home. I just want to stress that point. But this is a perfect example that we found in a home very similar to this, in this exact situation. We had a jam on a cased opening like this that we were inspecting, and we noticed here the wood is very, very solid. But we noticed on one side there was just a little evidence of termites here. So we did a little investigation, and we actually ended up treating the home for this particular customer. And once we did a little more investigation, we were able to find, we went from a very, very solid piece of wood all the way up. And you can see how the termites, as they came up this piece of wood, just how damaged it ended up being. This is almost like broom straw here. This is the same piece of wood. These termites started at the bottom, but they actually ended up working up at the top and doing the majority of the damage here. You can see here by these nails here, these are what was just holding the sheetrock. So essentially this piece of wood was behind this trim, looked just like that, but all this damage that's represented here was up closer to the header of this cased opening. But you can see where the sheetrock was attached with the drywall nails here. So that's why when we mentioned in the reports that we find some evidence, we're obligated by the state, who is our regulating authority, to comment on the evidence, but we're not allowed to really address the damage because that's not our area of expertise. That would be more for a home inspector, a licensed general contractor. And although we're very qualified in doing wood destroying insect inspections, we're not trained in the extent of the structural integrity of a piece of wood. So it would be more for a home inspector to come in and do a little further assessment on an inspection and determine if there's actually damage up in here. And then he would be able to tell you if the house needs any sort of repair work. The termites, if you notice this damage here, they eat the soft portion of the wood and they leave the hard portions there. So basically this would be the rings of the tree. They eat the section out in between the rings, essentially, is what they're doing. So they're going for the soft part. But again, all the termite damage is done here, but all this wood that they've gathered up here, the cellulose that they're shooting for and trying to get access to and take, they take it and they take it back down into the ground and they distribute it amongst the balance of the colony that's underneath there. That they're only up here to get food to support the balance of the colony that's living in the ground. So if you'll look right here, we just found some live termites in this piece of wood that we just turned over. You can see these white, tiny grub-looking little creatures. Those are actually Eastern Subterranean Termites. That is the worker portion of the termite. Now what they're doing, they're coming from the soil, as we mentioned earlier, they're coming in here. So this homeowner, just by virtue of the fact that they have put this wood underneath here, has attracted these termites. So this obviously, on an inspection, would require us to list that this home actually has termites, and there would need to be some sort of control measure. If you'll look right here, I just penetrated this wood a little more, and you can see this large area here that's got the damage to this wood, even though non-structural, because this is not a structural foundation member of this home. It is underneath the home, and that's what would require the actual necessity to have it mitigated. So this is certainly a no-no. I think most homeowners know that, but it is awfully easy to store wood underneath your deck or really close to your home like this. But this is certainly the exact reason why you wouldn't want to do it. So these termites don't appear to have been here too long, but you can see the extensive galleries that they're building inside this piece of wood here as they eat the soft part of the wood out, as we discussed earlier. But you can see how soft it is, and here again, this wood is very moist, so that creates the perfect environment from them. So this wood actually has a little bit of moisture damage, and then of course it's got some termite damage to this piece of wood itself.